Archbishop Anthony Bloom tells a story about a seeker. Shortly after Father Bloom's ordination to the priesthood, an elderly person came to see him about her prayer life. He recommended that she talk to those more experienced than he, but she responded that in spite of others' reputed knowledge about the spiritual life, such persons had never given her a sensible reply. Therefore, she had decided to ask him, since, by chance, he might blunder out the right thing. So he offered what he could. Father Bloom said that if she spoke all the time, she wouldn't give God a chance to place a word in. He recommended that when she got home, she go to her room, put it in order, sit in her armchair, look around, and take stock of where she lived, and then simply knit for 15 minutes before the face of God, trying to enjoy the peace of her room. She didn't think this was very pious advice, but she tried it. After a while, she came to see him. "It works," she said. "What works?" Bloom asked, because he was curious too. She replied that she did just what he advised, settling into her armchair after breakfast and loving the notion that she could gift herself 15 minutes to do nothing without feeling guilty about it. She looked around and found what a nice room she lived in, and then began to feel quiet because it was so peaceful. She then knit before the face of God. What follows is her account to Father Anthony about the experience. "I became more and more aware of the silence. The needles hit the armrest of my chair. The clock was ticking peacefully. There was nothing to bother about. I had no need of straining myself. And then I perceived that this silence was not simply an absence of noise, but that the silence had substance. It was not absence of something, but presence of something. The silence had a density, a richness, and it began to pervade me. The silence around began to come meet the silence in me. All of a sudden, I perceived that the silence was a presence. At the heart of the silence was He who is all stillness, all peace, all poise. There is at the heart of silence a sacred presence. Somewhere, sometime, we have heard it echo in our hearts. We'd like more of it, but we tell ourselves that someday, when we have fewer responsibilities, we'll find ways to tune in more often. Or we tell ourselves only great saints or people off in desert caves have the luxury of cultivating this. The rest of us, we say with a sigh, can only experience it on those rare occasions. The theme of the second week of Advent is peace. But what exactly is peace? The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines peace as a state of tranquility or quiet, such as freedom from disquieting or oppressive thoughts or emotions. However, inner peace can be a little more complicated than that. Peace in your heart is a yearning for wholeness, connection, and calm. This does not mean being at peace means you will feel this all the time. At the end of this evening's reading, we heard, "And Mary remained with her about 3 months and then returned to her home." This made me think about why Mary would choose to spend 3 full months away from her husband, Joseph. Perhaps the incident with the cherry tree had something to do with that. The Bible doesn't say much about Jesus' family. However, most biblical scholars will tell you that Joseph was much older than Mary at the time of Jesus' birth. Mary was most likely only a teenager, whereas Joseph more than likely had a previous wife and multiple children. Why did Mary choose to spend this time away from her husband in the months leading up to Jesus' birth? And what did she do with this time? I would like to think that Mary spent this time attempting to experience peace and solitude before the birth of her son. I believe that Mary went to Elizabeth during this time because she was yearning for wholeness, connection, and calm. This story reminds us that we too should be using this time before the celebration of the birth of our Lord, this Advent season, as a time that we choose to be present with silence. Why not choose now to be that time that we commit to leaning into practices that draw us closer to this sacred presence? Father Thomas Keating was a founding member and the spiritual guide of contemplative outreach. Father Keating was one of the principal architects and teachers of the modern Christian contemplative prayer movement, and in many ways, contemplative prayer as we know it today is a manifestation of his longtime desire to contribute to the recovery of the contemplative dimension in Christianity. What follows is a guided meditation or a centering prayer developed by Father Keating. I invite you, as you're able, to relax as I slowly guide you into this meditation. If you feel comfortable, I encourage you to close your eyes to fully experience this meditation. If the word meditation is intimidating or uncomfortable for you, think of this as more of a guided prayer, encouraging you to experience God's loving presence. Silence will be observed at the end of this meditation for you to be still in this sacred space and to just be. These prayer cards that I made up for you are found at the back of the church, at the entrance here and to the back. And I encourage you to take one so that you can take this prayer with you and practice it throughout this Advent season. I feel like this mic is a little hot, so I'm going to back up a little. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. We'll begin our prayer by disposing of our body. Let it be relaxed and calm, but inwardly alert. In order for us to better achieve this state of relaxation, I encourage you to take 5 deep breaths, and I'll do this with you. Let's breathe in through our nose slowly for a count of 4, and then hold our breath for a second or 2, and then slowly breathe out through our mouths. Try to regulate your exhale just as you would your inhale, being mindful not to push your breath out through your mouth, but rather blow it out in a controlled manner, as you would when blowing up a balloon. So let's do this together now. Breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. Once more, breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. Very good. Now just 2 more. Breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. And one last time, let's breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. We are present now, with the whole of our being in complete openness. The past and the future, time itself, are forgotten. We are here in the presence of the ultimate mystery. Like the air that we breathe, this divine presence is all around us and within us, distinct from us, but never separate from us. Without effort, we can sink into this presence, letting everything else go. Let love alone speak. The simple desire to be one with the presence, to forget self, and to rest in the ultimate mystery. This presence is so immense, yet so humble, awe-inspiring, yet so gentle, limitless, yet so intimate, tender, and personal. I know that I am known. Everything in my life is transparent in this presence. It knows everything about me, all my weaknesses, brokenness, sinfulness, and still loves me infinitely. This presence is healing, strengthening, refreshing, just by its presence. It is non-judgmental, self-giving, seeking no reward, boundless in compassion. It is like coming home to a place I should never have left, to an awareness that was somehow always there, but which I did not recognize. I cannot force this awareness or bring it about. A door opens within me, but from the other side. Let us wait patiently in silence, openness, and quiet expectancy. We surrender to the attraction to be still, to be loved, just to be.